everyone, my name is Jess and today we're going to be making the Mason bag. This multi-purpose bag will be your new bestie for organizing for travel, work, school, whatever you need. As always, welcome to the Sallie Tomato YouTube channel. If you're new to sewing or you like sewing fashion-forward projects, our YouTube channel is the place to be to create confidently. I'm very excited to bring this tutorial to you because the Mason bag has been very popular among Sallie Tomato fans, and this tutorial will be for the updated version of the Mason pattern. If you are looking at the back of your pattern, it will be noted for the updated version. If you've previously purchased the PDF download of the Mason pattern, the new updated version is included in your account. And if you purchased a paper pattern, we're happy to help. Just send us a photo to info@SallieTomato.com of your pattern and your receipt, and we will provide you with the PDF updated version. The updated pattern has bias binding assembly inside versus the original design, which was turned right side out through a turning opening. The binding allows for added structure to the inside of the bag and an easier finish. The Mason pattern is a versatile bag in 2 sizes. Use it as a toiletry bag, small project bag, snack bag, and so much more. This simple bag features a zipper top closure and is fully lined. During the tutorial, you'll learn how to create a top zipper closure, grab tabs, and add the bias binding to the inside of the bag. 2 sizes of bags are included in your pattern. The finished size of the full version is 12 inches wide, 9 inches high, and 6 inches deep. The finished size of the mini version is 9 inches wide, 6 inches high, and 4 inches deep. I'm a huge fan of classic movies and TV shows, and this particular pattern was named after the popular TV series Perry Mason. Before we get started, be sure to grab a pattern, see the description below this video, and follow the link to access the pattern information. Definitely check out our retailer locator on our website to shop our supplies in person and support your local store. All of the supplies you need are listed on the back of the pattern. Mason can be made out of a variety of woven fabrics such as quilt weight cotton, canvas, denim, or linen. It's also a great way to use up scraps or upcycle an old piece of clothing to make a special bag. So once you decide on your fabrics, cut out the pieces you need according to the pattern, gather the rest of your supplies, and let's begin the tutorial. First, let's start by reviewing the pieces for this project. You'll need main fabric for the exterior, zipper tabs and grab tabs. You'll need lining fabric for the interior, zipper tabs, slip pocket, and binding. And you'll also need some interfacing. If you're using a non-woven fabric for your main fabric, then you can skip adding any interfacing. If you are using cotton or canvas, you'll want to make sure to add interfacing to the wrong side of your pieces. You'll also need some foam stabilizer. However, you don't have to worry about cutting out any pieces since that will be done in a later step. For my main fabric, I chose to use Sallie Tomato faux waxed canvas, which is a printed canvas that is designed to look like waxed canvas. However, there is no wax, so it doesn't gum up your machine, and you get that distressed look that you love with waxed canvas. We have a wide range of colors available, so this is a really fun, classic option to choose for bag making. First, let's fuse the interfacing to the coordinating pieces. Fuse interfacing to the wrong side of each main fabric piece C and D if you're using a woven fabric. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for the interfacing that you're using to fuse to each of your pieces. Next, let's attach the foam. I've already went ahead and completed this step. With right sides up, you'll equally space the main fabric pieces A for the exterior and main fabric piece B for the base on the foam. You can use double-sided basting tape or temporary adhesive spray to hold the layers together. I find that pins tend to pucker your fabric, so using one of the temporary adhesives works best. Then over at your sewing machine, lengthen your stitch length to 5 millimeters or longer and baste a 1/4 inch from all edges of each piece. After sewing, trim the excess foam even with the raw edges of each piece A and B. Next, make and attach the slip pocket. With right sides together, fold lining fabric piece E slip pocket in half so it measures according to the pattern. Align the bottom and side edges, then pin the layers together or use sewing clips. Sew the bottom edge and sides with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, making sure to leave a 3 to 4 inch opening along the lower edge. I like to backstitch at my start and stop points of the opening. This will help reinforce the opening later when we turn it right side out. Trim the corners of the slip pocket piece at an angle. Just be careful that you do not cut through the stitching. Then turn the slip pocket right side out. I love using our handy essential turning and creasing tool to help smooth out the edges and get crisp corners on my pocket. After turning, fold the raw edges of the opening to the wrong side, creating an even edge along the bottom. Press with your iron or a seam roller. Then top stitch a 1/4 inch from the top folded edge. With right sides up, center the slip pocket according to the pattern on one lining fabric piece A for your interior. Use pins or sew tights to hold the pocket in place, then top stitch an 1/8 inch from the sides and bottom edge of pocket. This will close the turning opening in the bottom edge of the slip pocket. Next, prepare the zipper. With right sides together, sandwich each end of the zipper between one main fabric piece C and one lining fabric piece C for the zipper tabs. Align the short, raw ends and sew together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Just make sure that the right side of your main fabric is against the right side of the zipper and the right side of your lining fabric is against the wrong side of your zipper. Fold each zipper tab away from the zipper so they are wrong sides together. Then top stitch zipper tabs a 1/4 inch from the seams. Now we'll attach the zipper. With right sides together, center the zipper along the top edge of one main fabric piece A exterior, aligning the straight edges. Baste the layers together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I have a very narrow foot attached to my Bernette 08 straight stitch machine. For this step, you can use a zipper foot or narrow foot if your machine has that type of foot available. Make sure to move the zipper pull out of the way as you sew as needed. With right sides together, position one lining fabric piece A against the exterior, sandwiching the zipper between the layers. Align the top and side edges, then sew together along the straight top edge with 3/8 inch seam allowance. Press both pieces A away from the zipper so they are wrong sides together. Then top stitch the exterior a 1/4 inch from the zipper seam. Repeat the same process to attach the top edge of the remaining exterior and interior pieces to the opposite side of the zipper. Make sure that the short side edges are aligned. Then baste an 1/8 inch from all outer edges. Trim any excess fabric that may have shifted or extended past the side edges, even with the raw edges of the exterior. Next, we'll make and attach the grab tabs. With wrong sides together, fold each short side of the main fabric, pieces D for the grab tabs, to the center, so each tab measures according to the pattern. Press with an iron or your seam roller. Then fold in half again, matching the raw edges so each tab measures according to the pattern, and press. With right sides up, center one grab tab over each zipper tab, aligning the raw edges. And baste in place 1/4 inch from the raw edge. The next step is to attach the base. With right sides together, sandwich one end of the zipper between one main fabric piece B, which is your base, and one lining fabric piece B, base. Make sure to align the short raw edges, and you'll want the right side of the main fabric to be against the right side of the zipper, and the right side of the lining fabric to be against the wrong side of the zipper. Sew the pieces together with 3/8 inch seam allowance. If you'd like to help reduce some of the bulk, you can carefully trim some of the foam away from the seam allowance. You may need to use a seam ripper to remove some of the past stitches. Then fold each base away from the zipper so the base pieces are wrong sides together. Then top stitch the base 1/2 inch from the seam. Repeat the same process to attach the opposite short ends of the base pieces to the opposite zipper end, creating a tube. It's helpful to unzip the zipper to easily top stitch the opposite seam. Next, with wrong sides together, align the long raw edges of the attached base and baste together with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. The next section explains how to prepare the bias binding. I've already went ahead and completed the steps to create my bias binding. You can use your favorite technique. Otherwise, check out our YouTube tutorial on how to prepare bias binding for your project. Once you've prepared your bias binding, cut one angled end square and press the squared end of the binding 1/2 inch to the wrong side. Then with wrong sides together, press the binding strip in half lengthwise once more and set the binding aside for now. Next, we'll assemble the bag. Fold the bag in half, matching the base seams to find the center top and bottom. Also mark the lining fabrics. With the exterior right sides together, match the center marks of one side of the bag and the base, aligning the remaining raw edges. Sew together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, beginning and ending at the side dart points. You may find it easier to sew this step with the bag side to the bed of the sewing machine. Repeat the same process to attach the opposite raw edges of the bag and base. Next, attach the binding. With lining fabrics right sides together, place the squared end of the binding against the top of dart seam stitching, aligning the raw edges around the entire side and base seam. You can position the binding and clip it in place, or position it as you sew. Begin sewing at the pressed end of the binding with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've kept the very narrow foot on my machine, but you may want to use your zipper foot to help maintain the seam allowance around the corners. Then stop about 2 inches from the end of the side base seam. Remove the project from underneath your machine. Cut the extending binding a 1/2 inch longer than the seam stitching. Unfold the binding and press a 1/2 inch of the binding end to the wrong side, then refold the binding. Finish sewing the seam. Next, fold and press the binding to the opposite side, covering the raw edge. Top stitch the binding in the ditch of the seam with the bag front against the bed of the sewing machine. If you're concerned about not catching the opposite side of the binding, you can top stitch with the base against the bed of the sewing machine, an 1/8 inch from the single folded edge of the binding. Using a stiletto such as the Sallie Tomato Essential Turning and Creasing tool will help you hold the binding in place as you sew. Then you'll repeat the same process to attach the remaining binding to the remaining bag seam, trimming and pressing the beginning end of the binding as needed. If needed, trim away some of the bulk from the corners. So once the opposite side of your binding is attached, you can trim any final thread tails. Then turn your project right side out. And your new pouch is ready to use. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and perhaps even sewing along with me. If you have any other questions about the pattern, let us know in the comments below and we'll be sure to help. We would love to see your completed project. Share and show off your photos using hashtag SallieTomato and hashtag MasonBag on social media. And let us know if you liked this video by giving it a thumbs up, and I encourage you to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!